we're going to start with the Shrine and the Senior Bowl. The Pittsburgh Steelers just got back from the Senior Bowl last weekend. Before that, a couple days before that, they were in the Shrine Bowl or at the Shrine Bowl. They told one guy, don't play. They call it a day after practice. Don't risk injury. We are already looking at you. We love you. Go walk away and hopefully improve your draft stock just from practice alone. I was told that the Pittsburgh Steelers absolutely love two guys, one guy from the Senior Bowl and one guy from the Shrine Bowl. One guy you may know, one guy, I won't lie to you, I had to Google. But they are, quote unquote, both Steelers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are really hoping that both of them fall their way. We'll start with the one from the Senior Bowl that I don't think a lot of people are going to know. I think it's going to come as a bit of a surprise, but from what I've been told, he was, quote unquote, the most coachable player the Pittsburgh Steelers have ever met in Mobile, Alabama, which is massive. And I was also told that this is one of my favorite quotes, maybe ever, but definitely of the offseason. And we've had some good ones this offseason. That the Pittsburgh Steelers were like an 8th grader watching their first true love as this guy was on the field. But added to the quote, they were not alone. That is North Dakota State offensive tackle, offensive guard, Gray Zabel, 2-year starter guy who, I mean, you go to North Dakota State, you win championships. That's just what you do in the FCS. A dude who is expected to go in the 2nd round, could sneak his way late into the 1st, easily becomes a name to watch for the Pittsburgh Steelers at that 20th pick or that 21st pick, and potentially a move-up option in the 2nd round if they decide, this is the direction that we're looking to go. Not a lot of people are thinking offensive guard when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Many of them expect them to go wide receiver, running back, quarterback, corner, defensive line. Offensive line is pretty low on that list, but with Isaac Seumalo entering the final year of his deal and being considered a cut candidate, the Steelers are looking at it saying maybe we could grab the final piece to a young offensive line and develop it, which, to be very honest, I don't think is my first choice, but I'm not upset with the move. I don't think building the trenches is ever the wrong idea. It's not the splashiest. It's not the most exciting. In an offseason where we expected the Pittsburgh Steelers or expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to make plenty of noise, going after an offensive lineman is not something that I had on my bingo card, but it is a name to watch. Gray Zabel is the one that I heard out of the Senior Bowl. They absolutely loved this guy. They think he is a workhorse. They see him as an offensive guard. It is a guy that could come in here and be, I mean, the North Dakota State, South Dakota State offensive guard duo for the Pittsburgh Steelers would be very exciting with Zach Frazier in the middle. At the Shrine Bowl, Super Bowl 59 is right around the corner, and it's the perfect time to get in on the action with my partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, they're giving all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. This is your shot to make every last play a moment to be remembered. Don't wait. Download the DraftKings app now and sign up using our code ALLSteelers. The crown is yours. Stay in on the action and use your $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. I do it all the time. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen, making watching the game that much more exciting. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have the shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code ALLSteelers and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code ALLSteelers only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The name to watch, the name that the Pittsburgh Steelers loved, quote unquote, is a Steeler, is Colorado wide receiver Jimmy Horn Jr., who is a dude who is very much so a sleeper right now. A guy that is overshadowed by Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, obviously, probably Shiloh Sanders as well, coming out of Colorado. A name that right now is expected to go very late in the draft, possibly go undrafted. He's 5'7", maybe 190 pounds soaking wet, is not a big guy at all. Comes in here, is essentially just another Calvin Austin, but I mean, the Steelers like what they have in Calvin Austin, a guy that, just to pull up some stats here, in 2 years as a starter for Colorado, caught 95 passes, 1,008 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Had some drop issues. You got to acknowledge that he had some drop issues, but has a ton of upside. The Pittsburgh Steelers don't view him as the missing piece, the guy, the playmaker that they go out there and get. And he is, oh man, this is George Pickens, Jimmy Horn Jr. No, they just simply look at him as a late round addition that has way more upside than his draft value is going to say, and somebody that they are looking into heavily. Convinced him not to play in the Shrine Bowl, which is, that's big. If a team is saying don't play, don't risk injury, go to the combine and see what you can do from there, that's speaking volumes. And Jimmy Horn did so much at the Shrine Bowl that they were very much so in love with the Colorado wide receiver. Gray Zabel, good old North Dakota State offensive guard, and Jimmy Horn out of Colorado. You hear those two names. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's especially interesting that they told Jimmy Horn, hey, just don't play. I think part of that is don't get injured. You've done enough work here. And part of that is we don't know how many of the other 31 teams saw what we saw in practice. Don't give them more on tape, because we want to be, obviously, we know some of those other teams are going to look at that and see the same things, because all NFL scouts kind of think in a similar way. But I think if you're the Steelers saying that, you're saying, hey, let's try to keep you as a hidden gem as long as we can, as much as we possibly can. So I think that is interesting, and obviously a name that I had not been thinking of. So going to keep an eye on him once they go out to Indianapolis and once they go to Colorado's Pro Day to see how many people from the Steelers contingent end up there. And as far as an FCS interior offensive lineman, we got a Jackrabbit, we had a Bison. It makes all the sense in the world. Not only that, but it makes sense that maybe instead of doing the obvious thing, which is, hey, they need a swing tackle next year to go behind Broderick and Troy, maybe you add to that interior offensive line, because let's not forget the fact that Spencer Anderson is very well liked by the Pittsburgh Steelers coaching staff. So it might make sense to say, hey, he ended up having to play every position but center last year. If we fill the middle, then we can move him outside and he can be the true swing tackle. That way you don't have to spend so much in free agency to bring in a veteran. Do I think that that's the best option? No, I still think the Steelers need a veteran option, whether that be as a backup or whether that be as another starter on the interior next year. But I think it's interesting that they're looking at this and saying there's more than one way to kind of solidify this offensive line. And while all of us were saying it's tackle, you need a swing tackle, maybe it is. And maybe there is some credence to saying, hey, let's add to the interior of the offensive line and trust in Spencer Anderson on the outside.
Yeah, and I think that that works. You know, in the long run, if the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking at 2025 in a way that nobody's going to be super excited about, but as a, hey, let's build a little bit. Let's stop patching things and build things. And it's worked out. You know, Zach Frazier worked out. Troy Fautano hopefully works out. You got guys like Jaylen Warren who've worked out. Keanu Benton, Joey Porter worked out. And you're hoping TJ, Alex, Nick Herbig worked out. You have these guys. You've seen this happen before. When you're looking at it, maybe you're going, let's just finish the offensive line. You know, even if Zabel is your last interior offensive lineman this season and you still go and get a swing tackle, next year he becomes your starter, or him and Spencer fight for the starting job, and then you figure it out from there. I think that still works, you know, to have the backup plan and to do it without taking a risk next year that you have to draft somebody who's going to start immediately. I just feel like is not the worst idea. Is the most exciting? Is the direction we thought they were going to go? No. But again, I will never complain about the Steelers building their trenches on either side of the ball. It is always the right move. Always. Whether it's top priority, second, it is always the right move to build your trenches.